Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Today we're here with Chris Kelly here on the Producers and Transducers podcast, unveiling the history behind the sounds. Chris, thank you so much for having us and letting us come. I'm Teapot, and then we have our other producer and co-host, Agro.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on? Okay, so Chris, can I call you Chris?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. Sounds good. I want to first start off and get to know a little bit more about you. So first off, when did you first get into electronic music in any of its forms?
So I first got into electric music when I was, let's say, 2014,
2014. Okay.
2012. It was like back when I was a sophomore in high school. I started getting into like the first bass or dubstep wave.
Okay.
So
Now, what kind of dubstep are you talking about here?
we're talking about like Skrillex.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Bass Nectar.
That was at the height, I want to say, of that kind of wave, because EDC has become really popular. I think I went to EDC. It was 2013 is when I went to EDC, and that was what I feel was like a huge peak for electronic music coming into the mainstream.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of bridged a lot of the people that were into music, like trap music,
Or from first to last to Skrillex kind of situation going on
also,
there.
I was an emo kid, so like, I was like, oh, Sonny Moore, like, oh, I know that guy. So yeah, there was a lot of reasons. Like I also listened to a lot of hip hop when I was younger. And different big electronic music artists started getting featured in hip hop and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I really liked that feature. Who was that? And then kind of branched off into electronic that way. So yeah, I listened to a lot of like dubstep, Bass Nectar, that kind of bass music for the first few years, but then kind of fell off, never really went anywhere with it. It wasn't until 2016 that I started listening to more progressive like house music.
Okay.
So Lane 8 was the first artist that I became like a very like diehard fan of, and that kind of like propelled me into the
Lane 8. He's good. I saw him. So I went on two holy ships, right? The very first holy ship, he was the sunrise sermon artist. And let me tell you, being on the boat in the middle of the ocean, watching the sunrise, and having Lane 8 play. That was
a sunrise sermon?
Yeah, it was a sunrise sermon,
it's the
dude.
perfect
It
artist
was.
for that.
I know. He's amazing. He's really good. That's so interesting that you say that. So now that you play and stuff, would you ever play dubstep music?
No.
No.
Not the dubstep that I used to listen to.
Right. No.
Now I listen to a lot of like 140s UK deep dub, which is still considered dubstep, and I would play that. But
dude, I don't really. I would argue and say no to that, because like UK has like a very particular style, and for me, it's interesting that you say that. First, going off of that, you would never play that. So for me personally, I got into electronic music with hard style. Okay.
Oof.
I could never play that ever. Like,
not even
I don't even listen to it. I couldn't even listen to it anymore. Like it's just too fast. Like for me, it was, I was at a different point in my life when I first got into it. And, but it, it definitely has a special place in my heart, even though I don't listen to it or play it.
Yeah.
It's how it was my first like dive into electronic music. So
I don't know. I'd be pretty prepared for a happy hardcore set by T-Pon.
Hey, throw in some techno. I mean, you can mix them.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad.
Talk a little bit more in the mic.
my bad.
Yeah, you got to point directly.
Yeah.
You're good.
Throw it in a techno set.
Oh, I mean, and you know what? That's exactly what you could do. I could definitely do that, because you would just do it for probably one track and then switch back to techno, you know, because that's probably what 170, 180, I want to say is what like hardstyle is, or maybe even more. But I got into it because I started shuffling, so I learned how to shuffle.
Oh, you were a shuffler.
And I was a shuffler, and it was
the
really
sweaty
big
guy
in
the
Australia. Yeah, it was really big in Australia, and I just dove right in, man. You know, so I feel that. Okay, well, what are some like other earlier influences then, like artist wise? You know, you have Lane 8. That was like what was that your first album to buy, or was that like the first one that you were really into at least?
So a couple of friends introduced me to him, and they were going to go see him at Stereo Live, and I'd kind of fallen off from electronic music. I wasn't listening to dubstep anymore, but I gave it a go because so many people were going to the show. I'm like, I'm gonna see if I like it. I ended up like really enjoying the music that I heard from him. This was before he released his first album. On This Never Happened, his own label.
Okay.
Before it was all Injuna. So he was always releasing mainly with Injuna Deep. So at that time, he had not released his first album. He was just playing for Injuna Deep. So I started exploring the music that he had released, and I really loved it. Saw him live, fell in love. After that, I kind of became obsessed, and he released his first album, Little by Little, pretty shortly after, and that was like an album that I kind of just had on repeat, and kind of just kept going from there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool, man. I think my first album that I really got into, you know, Craig mentioned one that I totally even forgot about. Eiffel 65. I think that one was.
Thanks for stealing my thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, no, because I mean, if you want to go back like earlier than that, Linkin Park for me was like a huge point of going into electronic music
when they started doing their remix albums.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that was like the first time that I think that I first started seeing electronic music in different forms, right? So you had DJ Han, who, you know, even when he was in Linkin Park, he didn't really do as much DJing there. Not that I could see. I'm sure that on the back end, like he was a big part about being a producer and stuff. But that was like the first taste. And then like, yeah, Eiffel 65 was amazing. Meteora, one of my favorite. And then they had Reanimation also, which was just a bunch of remixes. Yeah. Oh man.
It's like one of the best produced songs.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's kind of like branched from there. And I want to say after that, probably around that same time period, I got into Calvin Harris. 18 Months was like the EDM album, or the electronic dance music album that really accelerated me into diving deeper into it. You know, because I had, you know, played with it a little bit, you know, had it a little bit of taste here and there, but that's the one that I really did that. So, all right. So you have the Lane 8 album. That was like 2016. So where did you go from there in your music journey?
I kind of explored the Injuna label a little more.
Okay.
Because I didn't really know. At that time, it was kind of hard to find other house artists and stuff that were on different labels. I didn't really know where to look. I didn't have like Spotify or SoundCloud and stuff like that. Yeah. So, you know, I was pretty much in the dark. I just kind of could follow what I knew. So I looked up Injuna. I got really into like Dusky and Yodo. Ben Bomer, those artists. So I kind of like followed that crowd, and I would look to see if they were ever coming to Houston or nearby cities.
Yeah.
I know that I went to a event in Austin. It was a Labor Day event by Real Music called Labor of Love, and it was Yodo and Dusky. And
I was at that show.
You were there?
Yeah.
No
we weren't friends then, but, you know, I was at that show.
Oh, we were not fucking friends then.
Full circle, people.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. I remember that show. And that was even like, I haven't and still haven't been into Injuna, right? Until this past time. When was that show that we went to? We were in Austin, and you gave me a ticket.
Oh, yeah, the Injuna Deep after.
Injuna Deep. I'd never been to one of their events like that. And
there's like Injuna Deep and then Injuna Beats.
And
Injuna
then,
Beats is like the trance side.
after dark at this one, so they had like a
Okay.
whole
Very
different
cool.
like tribal vibe, dude. The first night was wild.
Which is it's all above and beyond, which they're in Juneau. So
Well, they weren't there at all, but their vibe was there for sure.
Yeah.
Like
everyone on their label, yeah.
Yeah, Ellie and Fur were there. Well, I think only one of them was there, but it was
only one.
yeah,
I love Ellie and Fur.
yeah.
They're
But
fucking
it was
awesome.
it was a vibe. I loved it.
Are you
it was
more
a
of
lot
a fan of Fur or LA?
I don't know which one's which.
Does anyone? Like,
I don't think
except
so.
for like their close personal friends.
Yeah,
No,
maybe,
it
maybe
does.
not. Okay, so so that must have been like your first show. You go to the one in Austin.
Yeah,
What
that was
like,
second show.
okay. What was like your first festival that you went to?
So that came shortly after. I was lucky enough to get to experience the first Day for Night. Or no, I think it was the second Day for
Ooh,
Night. But
the
the first
second one,
time
yeah.
that it took place at the Post.
Yes, I was there for that one too. That was such a
Yeah.
I missed that.
The lineup was
That's where
crazy.
Yellow
Like I got
Stage came from.
exposed.
Yep. That's where the roots of that party came
Yeah.
from. Is from Day for Night. But
Yeah,
we'll get into
Yellow
that second.
Stage, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the next year. But at the first or second year,
Yeah, the second year. Yeah.
it was Aphex Twin. It was
Yes.
Odessa.
Oh man.
It was
That was the one, and it was playing
Bjork.
in the rain, right?
Yeah.
Was what it was.
So that was Aphex Twin, and
Odessa too.
so Odessa was right before the storm. I remember because it was hot as fuck for their set, and I was in the middle of the crowd,
and then it gets super cold, right?
and everyone's sweating, and I was like, man, maybe festivals aren't for me. Like this is fucking, this is rough. And then I don't know, 30, 45 minutes after their set ends, Aphex Twin's like halfway through his set, maybe a quarter, and out of nowhere, this crazy gust of wind comes in and just like takes out all the signs, like all the flags, any totems, like that are any umbrellas that people had.
Yeah.
Just like all go flying. There's just like debris going everywhere. It looked like a little mini tornado. And then came the rain a few minutes after that, and it was ice cold rain.
Oh yeah,
And
I
it was
remember
just
that.
like it was like a 20-degree drop in temperature, like within a couple minutes. It was brutal.
It was super brutal. I remember watching in the rain. Me and my friend Joseph, he had hooked us up, and we were hanging out behind the food vendor's place, like because they had this like little alley where they had all their extra food and preparation and stuff. And so we were just hanging out with like the guy that owned like burger joint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember we were able to escape it, but that was some of the coldest wind I have ever felt. And I remember I was just in like a t-shirt and shorts because it had been so hot.
Yeah, no,
like,
everyone
before.
was dressed for the weather, like, but prior than that.
I think our friend Rain had this giant coat on, and so I was like, I don't know how you're surviving in that. And then it turned out she made the right choice.
Yeah, I could not withstand that cold. I stayed. I wanted to see Aphex Twin. I didn't really know him, but I just the way that people spoke about how rare of an act it was
Yeah,
to
oh,
see.
yeah.
That I was like, I don't even know what this like fucking
What's going
alien
on?
like robot music is. It's like offbeat and weird, and I was like, I don't really know how to jive to it, but I want to experience it just because I know it's so rare. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this set, and that's the reason I was there. But once it got cold, it wasn't enough to keep me there. I was just like, I'm gonna go to an indoor stage. I had a couple friends that were just like, you're an idiot. We're staying out here, and they stayed in the cold the entire time, just planted to the ground in the freezing cold.
When have you ever seen another opportunity to see Aphex Twins?
I have not seen them do it since.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a great show, and I remember even like the year after that, it was Trent Reznor, right, from Nine Inch Nails.
Yes.
I think he did his show and stuff. Like they really captivated such a unique like slice, okay? Because you had
Bjork was the first year too.
Bjork, yes. Oh
So-
my gosh, yeah.
And then
yeah.
she did like a really crazy art installation, which was a
Yep.
huge part of
The
what
art
Day for Night
installations
was.
were amazing, and I feel really bad for the people in the last year because I heard that they didn't even get paid a lot of their money.
Oh shit!
You
I
know,
didn't hear
so
about that.
yeah, yeah, you know, the Day for Night, you know, they had like allegations against the
Yeah, I
owner,
know the
right?
owner was a piece of
So
shit.
then they sold it off to pay for all of like the debts of Day for Night, and the name and entity got sold for like $50,000, along with Free Press Summer.
Oh yeah, you owned that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was why the art installations those were why I was so like keen on that festival. It was my favorite festival, and I would probably say it still is today. It's
Really?
probably my favorite festival that I ever went to.
Dude, that's a
just because
toss-up.
of like the art installation and the
Yeah.
variety and the genres, and like it was just that it was such an international festival that took place in our backyard.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
And like I give it a lot of credit to why I'm so into electronic music today. And not just electronic music, but all types of music, from like indie to like rock to rap. Like they had all types of music that I was exposed to day for night.
So would you say then that a lot of that probably influences a lot of the music that you play today? Because, you know, I've heard you play a ton of different
I wouldn't
styles.
say any of that music really influences the way I play today.
Oh, I would say so. I would, yeah, dude, definitely, because you have like these subtle tones that maybe you don't realize.
Yeah, maybe I don't.
Like, but I know because the artists and the stuff that you talk about, like the beats that were underlying in that like hip hop that were underlying in a lot of that
hip-hop,
stuff.
yes.
Like the reason, you know, like
Definitely
that,
hip-hop.
that definitely translated to dubstep, which could also then translate to a lot of the different other
House
stuff
music.
you like. And
Hip-hop
house music.
and house music.
Dude.
I always say, like, if you can appreciate like a good
Then you have
hip-hop
Walker and
beat,
Royce, okay, like that.
Dude, we can get into them pretty soon too, because it wasn't long after my first Day for Night experience that I heard about Walker and Royce.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you go to both Day for Nights, and I would also preface it to say that for me, like for all the visual stuff that I do, that was like the point. I was like, you know what I want to do is figure out how to incorporate this in the stuff that I do. It doesn't have to be the visuals
all
and
the
just
art installations.
Everything that I do tries to be an immersive experience. Like that's what I want to do. And you know, like everything that I've been building towards is for this going to be this like really cool project where you know, like when I get to it, where the LEDs will be controlled and everything else. And you know, like
some 3D mapping on the wall.
3D mapping on the different walls and stuff, you know, like I want to bring it all together. But Day for Night was the point where I started, and this is how far I've come, you know. And as you can tell, if you put your mind to something, you can get crazy.
Well, Day for Night inspired your Yellow Stage party series.
Yes, because the first one was what I liked about it was the concept of Day for Night, exactly what you're talking about, that I wanted to incorporate in there. But the Yellow Stage was their 360 stage, and I don't think you were at the first Yellow Stage party.
I wasn't.
I think you were at the second one though.
I couldn't make the first one.
So in the first one, we emptied out all of the furniture from our living room, and then we put these giant floor speakers on either corner, pointed them to the middle, and then set up this like DJ booth with the help of my friend Ken and Craig. Of course, Craig was a crucial part of helping set all of this up.
That was a lot of logistics.
Dude, so many. We had 3D mappings of every room and how the placement of all the sound was, or like the different art installations that I have, like the LED clouds. Which, did you ever see those?
Oh yeah, I saw videos of them.
Oh, you saw videos, but you didn't
year,
see.
You?
No, they were already put in storage for the second year. I think.
You need to link those videos in the YouTube comments.
Oh yeah.
Because you have both promo videos, right?
Yeah. Yep. Promo videos for both. So I will
check them out, people.
Yeah, check them out in the comments. The different types of parties. You know, if you want that kind of vibe, you know, you can hire me and Craig to come bring it. So
we set a bar.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Day for Night and everything. All right. So what year did you hear then about Walker and Royce?
So I think it was after the third and last year of Day for Night. I was going to go to Buku with a group of friends. Buku in New Orleans.
Okay, yeah.
Which is another multi-genre, like very diverse type of festival.
Okay.
Never went?
I've never been, no.
So it's no longer a thing. But it was going on for, several years. And I'd always wanted to go. I had friends that had gone years previously. So it was a perfect opportunity. I had a group of friends that were getting an Airbnb.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll send it. I'll go. And one thing I always do, even today, is go through the lineup and check out the artists that I don't know yet, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It
So-
took me a while to get that. That's cool that you. Well, I guess this would have probably been like a few years after you had been going to festivals. Then, right? At this
Yeah,
point,
like the only festivals that I had been to at that point were Day for Night and Euphoria.
Ooh, two good ones.
yeah.
Two good ones. Okay.
So both close to home, but you know, very popular, and they had diverse lineups. So I wasn't like a house head yet, you know. Like now I would say like house music.
Oh, we in it.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of like rules my world.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was, you know, still just kind of experiencing all different genre festivals, and I still love them to this day. But you know, that was my bread and butter at the time. So I was like, oh, Buku has a sick lineup. There's all these cool rappers. There's like a couple like pop punk bands. There's like, you know, a couple different like genres that I can check out. And then I found a couple artists on there. One of them was Walker and Royce, and the other one was Green Velvet. And I had not heard of either one of these artists.
Okay.
I'd not heard of either one of them. I didn't have any friends that were fans of them that were going with me. It was just like, okay, I went through the whole lineup. These were, you know, 2 artists that I had not heard of, but I was really fucking with everything that they released. I was like, oh my, like whatever this type. I didn't really know it was house music. I didn't like.
It's not house music as most
tech
people
house.
define. It's like
tech
yeah.
house,
It
but
was
like-
definitely tech house, especially their earlier stuff too.
I'm just saying, like in the broad spectrum
yeah.
of like what dance music is.
Yeah.
It's
like
definitely not drum and bass.
It's definitely not drum and
Definitely not
bass.
drum and
Yeah.
bass.
No, but I get what you're saying though.
so like, I
Like,
didn't know
yeah.
like what that like 4-beat type of music was. You know, I'd
Oh,
never like
4x4 on the floor.
4x4 on the floor.
absolutely.
That reminds me, Travis. Rapid fire.
Oh yeah. Okay. So here we go with a couple rapid fire questions. Okay.
All right.
First one's gonna be, well, what was the name of the festival that you and your friends put on? Was that
Which festival? Are you talking about the event?
the event? Yeah, the ones where you guys went camping, and that I couldn't make because it was my birthday weekend.
Oh, okay. That wasn't my festival.
Okay, but
that
you
was
helped with it, though.
John's festival.
Okay. So what was the name of that?
Shit. I can't
Was
even
it
remember.
Blessing?
It was called
Bliss?
Blissside.
Blissside. Okay.
Blissside.
So would you choose Blissside or the Eclipse Festival? Which one would you choose?
You can't really compare those because one was a burn and one was like a full-on like high production disco Donnie festival.
Ooh, okay.
You just have to
okay.
choose.
You
It's
just
like-
have to
I
choose.
just have
like,
to choose?
But
Just
you're-
go
but
with your gut
what-
on these rapid fire. It's just like
Oh, I would have to go with Eclipse because it was a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, I got to see the eclipse and like
Okay,
experience
okay.
all this music all in like one weekend.
And that was with a lot of other people. That's cool. Okay. All right. So I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyways. So house or techno?
Shit, dude. That's tough for me. I feel like I kind of go back and forth,
Yeah.
but right now it's definitely house.
Definitely house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the only 2 that I had for him right now.
Okay.
Do you have any more for him?
dog or cat.
Ooh, dog or cat. Ooh.
Oswald. Hey. Cat.
Cat makes
Cat.
a point.
Okay.
Cat makes a
So
point.
if he didn't respond, you're gonna be like dog.
I thought he was gonna come towards me, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
okay. That's better than
Here, let
most
me try
cat
a little
owners.
harder. Oswald. He's a little too tired.
He's
This is
looking up and
relaxing,
down. He's like,
actually.
yeah, bro. You know what? Why don't you come here?
This is why I love cats.
Yeah.
Okay,
They have
so
no master.
with Walker and Royce, like, so I would say that I first discovered Walker and Royce when Kinda Super Disco brought them for New Year's, and only Gavin.
What year
came.
was that?
Oh, probably like 20. This is even before Self Help came out. This is well before that, right?
Oh, okay.
And
So
at the
then
time,
Self Help had just come out
when
I saw them.
dude.
So we were just hearing like nothing. But
And that-
it was so good.
that was what they said. Well, I remember hearing Gavin talking. He was like, yeah, it was like a switch, because I think that they were even almost done like making music. Because they really hadn't gone anywhere. Have you heard some of their like super earlier stuff? It's
No.
disco.
You and Rain talk about it all the
It's
time.
disco.
but
Well,
I
because
really
it's
never,
good. I think I like 96 of their songs on Spotify. I looked
Jeez,
like
calm
that's
down.
a lot. That's
Calm down.
I will not. Yeah, the first time that I met him was when he came to Houston, and it was just Gavin. Sam only produced the music. Gavin just DJ'd the music, and that was like the dynamic that they did. And then when they released,
kind of how Disclosure does it, right?
no, I've seen. Well, I would say maybe. But now Walker and Royce, always you see both of them, unless one of them's sick. Always both of them there. I think.
Oh yeah, I'd be
Disclosure.
disappointed if I only saw one.
I don't know. I had that opportunity a little while ago. They came and did the Seismic show, and then they were playing with like the Black V-necks. I think they brought Foolie. And it was only Sam, and it was cool because it was only Sam. Like, you know, like I'd heard Gavin
sure
by
it was
himself.
still great.
It was
but
still
when
good.
I'm expecting both of them, like put that on the flyer.
But I had just come from the Seismic show that we went to. Remember when we went to Austin, and it wasn't Seismic, but it was at the Concourse, and it was the Walker and Royce with like Vanessa and stuff like that. You can't beat that show, like that show, and I knew that, and I was going in there expecting something
you
completely
opened
different.
for him, right?
No, I've never opened for them at all.
Oh,
I've
I
opened
thought
for the Black V-necks twice.
Okay,
Sasha Rabati.
Yeah. It was Black V-neck that I was thinking of.
Yeah. And that was with me and Craig opened up one time for him. And what was it? Was it Steve Darko or was it Sasha Rabati? Who else did we open him for? Or Jay Wara?
Jay Wara, that
Alright,
was a
we
good
need to get into
set.
Dirty Bird because I didn't. It wasn't too long after I discovered Buku and all those artists that like Walker and Royce kind of brought me into the Dirty Bird family.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, where did you go with the Dirty Bird from that? Once you started to dive into that label.
Not too long after that Buku, Real Music in Austin started doing the Dirty Bird barbecue.
They did that, or they were like or they helped do that, right? Because I know that they did different ones.
Yeah, they did. I think it was 2 or 3 in Austin, and it was all Real Music that they did all the legwork to bring that to Austin, which was huge because at the time it was only like I think it was L.A., San Francisco, I think San Diego as well.
Okay, and then I think there was like Detroit. I believe Detroit,
Detroit.
Because Clive and Stroke is from Detroit, and several of them are. I know,
and it was like, you know, that way for years.
Yeah.
And then they incorporated Texas because of what Real Music.
Yeah, and I love those. That was the one where I made a totem and I was brought on stage.
Yes, I saw a video or a picture of your totem, the little egg with the fire under it.
With the fire under it, yeah.
So I remember after seeing that picture on your Facebook, I think, like, I remembered seeing it. Yeah. I didn't know you at the time, but I remember seeing it in the crowd. I was like, oh shit, you made that totem. I remember like being in the crowd and being like, oh shit, that guy went all out. That's
I did,
dope.
And they brought me up. They pointed at me. One of the managers, I think his name was like it's like Franco or Francis or something like that. I can't remember what his name was, but he was like one of the managers. He's good friends with Justin. I think he's Justin Martin's manager today. And he like pointed at me in the crowd and he was like, hey, you come here. And like I walked out all the way to the front. He's like, you want to come up on stage with us? And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah. And I got to go hang out with them. And Will Clark like looked up. He's like, that's cool, man.
He definitely looked up. That motherfucker's short.
I didn't mean it like that, but you know, like getting props from Will Clark, you know, like, yeah, that's funny. Dude, yeah, I did not realize that. Okay, well, that's cool. So where did you go? So you had like the Dirty Bird barbecues, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think the first year I went, it was Claude Von Stroke, Walker and Royce, Artelon.
Dude, I love Artelon. Artelon is definitely still one of my favorites.
Justin Martin. That was the other person on that.
Justin Martin is such a beast.
Yeah,
like, I love watching Justin Martin, and he's got a new label, What to Do, with a new album. Have you heard like the new person that he signed? It's right up his alley, and it's really cool.
I did not hear the
new. It's Mantra or something like that.
He will knock everything down. Oswald.
Oh, and there we go with the camera,
and he's blocking it.
No, he's good. He's good. That's so funny. What time is it, anyways? 30 minutes. We're at 30 minutes right now. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll be back in just 1 second.
All right. And we're back.
All right. So we left off with Chris Kelly talking about how he started with electronic music, going from Lane 8, going up to Dirty Bird is what we're talking about, and how you got into them. So let's talk a little bit, I guess, after that, How did you get into DJing? What was that like, or what brought you into wanting to DJ?
So I would say it was meeting people like yourself, people that were my friends that were DJing and had their own equipment at home. I never really even considered that being a possibility. I was just like, I'm just here for the music. I don't need to create it or be a DJ. That was never really a dream of mine. But then I saw my friends doing it, and I kind of was able to like see myself doing it finally. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is a possibility.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say that was
Kind of the starting point.
Starting point. Probably 3-4 years ago. How long have we known each other?
Oh yeah, I want to say about that time. Yeah, wow, yeah, 3 or 4
I would
years.
say like you were one of the first people, like you or maybe my friend Ransom, who
maybe 4 or 5 years, because I remember the first time I met you at Bauhaus. Was the first time that I met you, and that was a cool experience. And then I want to say we are not going to get into that experience.
Who's headlining?
It was Pride. It was Pride, I think. And then you guys had
really?
got there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Pride weekend, and then it was just a bunch of stuff happening.
We don't have to talk about this.
And listen,
we'll get there. We'll get into it.
So we were just at Bauhaus, and then our friend Rain came in with him. And that's how I met him, and I don't
mutual friend.
It was just a mutual friend. And, we started to become friends, and then we started hanging out more and more, and then we found out more and more recently, than in those first couple of years. But yeah, no, definitely. You've definitely taken off. I went to your, UK show. What was that one called?
So that, was a Breach Gang show.
Okay.
We just called it Breach Gang.
Breach Gang. That was like the name of it?
So Breach Gang was the label. It was a UK label. We brought in a grime artist. Someone. Cool. He was this guy. He was based out of Worcester. Yeah. Sweet, really sweet musician. I mean, it like grime.
He was super cool.
Yeah.
Him and his friends that he came with. Because I'd driven in from Austin at the time, and then the friend that he was with lived in Austin, and they were all
so his
super
name's
nice.
Chapo, based out of Worcester, and my friends wanted to bring him down to do his first ever Houston show, and
it went off. That was a cool vibe.
Yeah, it was something he always wanted to do because grime has a lot of hip hop roots, and he thought Houston would be a cool place to see.
It was great. I think everyone that was there definitely, I think, liked it, and like the place that it was at was perfect. I saw this movie.
Shout out the list.
Yeah. It was just like in this like house that was also a barber shop or something like that.
It was it's like a coffee shop.
Too.
Art, like an art gallery.
It was cool.
Like
it was a perfect vibe for sure. It was really cool, like walking into that, because I felt, I've never been to a party in the UK, but from a lot of what I've seen depicted about it, I think it fit a lot of those characteristics. So for me, it was really cool to see, and you guys did a really good job. Everyone, you did a great job. Ransom did a great job. And even the headliner. There were a couple other people. Unfortunately, sorry, I don't remember her name, but you all did a great job. And Desiree,
she was the opener. And we all had our own style. Like that was the idea behind the event, because a lot of people from the Houston scene don't even know what grime is, and if they do, they're probably not really big into it. So we're like, okay, well, we're gonna bring some shit that we know people can get down to, even though it's different. We're just gonna kind of mix these different genres, and we kind of started from house, and then like moved into UK garage, drum and bass, finally to like 140s, dubstep, grime.
Oh, dude, it was cool. Yeah,
and it was all over the place. It was great.
Yeah. Okay. So you had that event that was really cool. And then fast forward a little while, then you recently played at Heart. Is that right?
Yeah. So I played at Heart in April of this year, and I was lucky enough to play with Paul Paxton.
Paul Paxton, yes. Yeah. Oh, I know him very well. Yeah, he I remember meeting him at a house party. I want to say before him and oh dang it, who's the other guy that he's with in Coaches? Robbie. I'm sorry, Robbie. Yes,
Wow.
Robbie, who I've
Brain
seen more
fart
than
there, huh?
Paul. Yeah, and him and Robbie, they were bringing their controller and playing at MJ's, for the Glitter Trove people. And yeah, they were really cool. And then we had them come play our very first like big event. They opened up for this warehouse party. It was just I don't even think it had a name. But it was really cool. Yeah, and they killed it, and I could see that they've been doing it since then.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed hearing them play.
Yeah, he was awesome. Very experienced DJ. Like
Yeah.
playing side by side with him and like watching what he does and like being able to like incorporate my music with his was really cool. And the whole way that I found myself playing there was my friend AZ. He was the one that gave me the booking. I went to this festival, the one we were talking about earlier, Blissside.
Yeah.
It wasn't a festival. It's like a burn.
Yeah.
Smaller, but they had like little side stages, mainly just camping. But there were
Sound
some
camps?
DJs.
Was it like a sound camp?
It
Yeah.
was a sound camp essentially, just like right by all the tents.
Yep.
They had a couple of them set up, and there wasn't really a lineup or a schedule or anything. It was just kind of like hop on, open format, open decks, and I brought my USB. I had not played before this event. I had played. I had my friend had let me borrow XDJ2s at my apartment or my house for like 2 years. So I had practiced.
Those are the ones that were just recently here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
So
sure
I had
that's a lot of
those,
practice. Then yeah.
a lot of practice, a lot of house parties. Like I played for countless friends, but
Yeah.
I never had the desire to play for an audience. I have my own career going. I wasn't
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna be like another local DJ. I thought I was just like
That's
I'm just
always
gonna,
going for the flyers or whatever, stuff like
I
that.
was
Yeah.
I don't need to do all that. I just like doing it for fun.
Oh yeah.
I still prefer an after party. Like that's like my
Dude.
favorite place to play, honestly, like with your close friends.
Yeah, that's our
Like-
favorite place. We say the best venue in Houston is Roz and Thomas's house. So
Still
There's
been.
no about it.
there's
no
no
doubt
doubt about it.
And I would have been at that party too if it wasn't for my set at Heart. I was playing on the same
Yeah.
night, and I'm sure you were there. You were there, Craig, right?
No, he was not at that party either.
I missed that one.
He
No, you
had
missed
he had
it.
he had
Oh.
other plans then, but he was dearly missed. But yeah, that was a crazy vibe. And
Yeah. I was gonna finish.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
at that burn that I played, AZ was also there, and he didn't know who I was, but he just kind of like walked by during my set and was like, "Oh, I like the way you play." He's like, "Can I play with you?" I was like, "Sure." So we went back to back.
Ooh, one of the
And-
biggest like compliments that someone can give you is definitely another DJ that that you can listen to and admire, and then be like, "Hey, I want to play with you." You're like, "Oh,
Yeah, like get on.
yeah,"
let's go.
because that's not easy sometimes.
And we
playing with other
complimented each
people.
other's style well, and like we ended up just like being boys and just
Yeah,
and we're like, all right, cool, like that was awesome. Exchanged info, and then not too long after, he's like, "Hey, I'm playing at Heart on this day, and I have the opportunity to like get some of my friends on the lineup. Do you want to be one of the people?"
oh,
And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me
Yeah.
know." I figured I was gonna be an opening act. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be playing from like 9 to 10."
yeah, yeah,
Right?
which is standard. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's standing. And then
everyone
like,
pays their dues.
the flyer comes out, and it's like, "Oh, Chris Kelly, 1 to 2," and I was like, "Oh shit, what the
Closing it
fuck?"
out. Yeah,
Okay,
such an
but-
opportunity, and that's so really cool. Because that's definitely a rare opportunity for someone that's just starting out. But it goes to attest to what you're able to do and spin on the dance floor. And as a transducer does, you're able to convert one frequency to another.
yeah.
That people are just vibing with. So okay, well that's really cool. So let's go ahead and let me ask you a question then. What advice would you give to your younger self if you were just starting off on this journey, and that's deciding that in the same situation that you talked about is you are someone who you see a group of people that do it and they love to do it, you know, like because me and Craig, we just love to do it, and we love to do it not for like the hype, but just to play in front of our friends for the passion.
Yes.
So along those lines, what would you tell your younger self that you know now from when you first started?
When I first started mixing.
Yeah. What would you tell them?
So I feel like I held myself back a lot in the beginning by mixing off of a laptop or record box and not a USB. I did that for maybe like a year and a half, where I had record box or I had a Beatport Premium.
Yeah. Yep.
Where I could just live mix any track that's released and just drag it on,
which is cool,
which is fun,
but
and I could play the exact fucking track I need at any given moment and like switch it on, and just I would always be playing different tracks. I wouldn't really like set a playlist and like, you know, perfect it,
right,
or
right.
You know, like really like dig deep and like make something my own. It was just always just random, like I don't know, throw this here and there. But then once I finally sat down and started buying my own music and putting them on a USB and formatting it and, you know, creating playlists and like figuring out how I wanted to mix something and separating the BPMs and the genres and all that, and just like really sounding how certain tracks sound together, where to mix them in, different effects to sound good,
and how to organize them, because you know, like that's such a crucial part about DJing, and it's so different for every person because every person's going to relate that track usually a little differently. Yeah, you could do it by genres or whatever, but doing it, you know, like for me, I do a lot of mine by vibe now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because I usually when I play, I like to stay within a particular vibe, like maybe like a little bit different sound, but the vibe is the same. Like it sounds like it's from Tulum. It sounds like it's from Ibiza. It sounds like it's from, you know, something along those lines. Okay. So you would just tell your younger self that don't be scared. Like what are you scared of?
Yeah, definitely. Just like jump off the ledge, you know,
and just dive into it. I would tell my younger self that too. Like, hey, stop procrastinating, man, or stop being so scared about it, because you know, with that party that we went to at John's house, I think it was like Sophia's birthday or whatever, okay, and then I had Stephen Lawrence who was there, legend OG, shout out to Stephen Lawrence, and it was cool because he saw me mixing, and I'm not going to tell him this story, but well, you know what, he's going to know it now. So when I played with Craig, we entered a DJ competition together, okay? And the judge that scored me out was Stephen Lawrence. He was part of that group,
you
right?
didn't tell him that night.
No, I did not. I was not going to tell him that night, okay? But this is what so when I like was scored out, and I lost by, it was like 1.73 to like 1.79 or something like that, right? So it wasn't that much, right? And the one thing that they had to say to me was, you should quick mix more, okay? Fast forward to this party, okay? And he comes up to me, he's like, let me tell you something that you're doing wrong, okay? Let me show you something, okay? And I was like, okay. He's like, you need to quick mix more. And I was all like, and I had thought I'd worked on it, and clearly I did not, okay? But this time though, you know, because sometimes you have someone tell you something, but then he showed it to me, okay? And he was like, yeah, let me show you. And so he went through and he talked about his experience, okay? And the person that talked to him about the exact same thing, he says, what are you scared of, man? You know? And I have taken that to heart since that time, you know? Like, what are you scared of? Like, you're there to put on a show. Like, don't be afraid to change that song quicker to keep that energy up, especially, you know, when you're phrasing, you see that dip, dude, get rid of that dip. You know, sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's nice to add on. But I find that interesting, you know, that you said that, and I just had that recent experience. You know, what are you scared of?
Yeah, no, I had the opportunity to meet him that night as well.
Oh yeah, he's a cool guy. I followed him for a little while. He's on like he was that judge, you know, and then he did like this workshop.
I didn't know that,
and he's
I
like,
didn't know the first part of that. That's wild.
Well, I didn't tell anybody, but I found it ironic. But you know, all I did was sit there and just listened to him. It was like really cool for him to like show me and then expand his knowledge.
He's
to
very
me.
forthcoming with
Dude,
his knowledge.
he's a super nice guy. I like him. He's cool, and I know that he's working with like a Juna Deep, I think, or something like that. I know that he got
EM
he works with them somehow, or with like his tracks or whatever. So, and that's really cool.
It's Ian Bluestone. And, shit, I know he was working with a lot of artists.
Yeah. It's really cool. So, okay, well, what we're gonna go ahead and do is, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right now. With this wonderful interview, Chris Kelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We are about to dive into his mix. You can find it on the Mixcloud. We're gonna link it in the comments. We're gonna hear kind of hopefully I can guarantee you some of the stuff that we talked about today, and you'll be able to see like the influences and how it influenced them. Craig, do you have anything else to say?
I just want to thank Chris, man. That was really awesome. Really happy that we had you for our first guest, and like
that's an honor.
Thank you for your patience, because that took a little while to set up. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get it down. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. If you haven't, click the like button and hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends, and we will see you guys next time.